My life force met with the one of a specific tree I called magma. It was one that stood out for me within an assortment of others, calling me in on a subliminal level. And by this time, I am acutely aware of the organic nutrition to be gained from the bark of the tree. The summoning by the tree continues, and I am flooded also within my awareness that I am a developed human who could shield the tree from the poisons and toxins of other folks who also dwelled around it in the newly constructed subdivision known as Terra Acres. Clearly, the volcanic interchange that occurs between the human being and the tree. For my human electrolytes, I was to help myself to the bark of my magma tree as the exchange that sprung my flesh sprightly and flooded my blood with land currents that made me feel like a live wire when I brewed the bark into a tea. Both me and the tree being conscious of the value we each bestowed upon the other, as an earth appliance restored the other trees of my new backyard or my enchanted forest open up their whiskers to draw me in for my next suckling. One tree being old enough to prevent cancer in predating it. Feeling home now that defies human definition, there I am removing the bark with the gentleness of combing my daughter's hair, and suddenly drifts of storm clouds roll in. And in this space, I could feel each layer descend and coat the forest floor, signaling me to hurry as I was aware that I was holding a metal blade with a wooden handle. With everything I've learned from my grandmother and those who wrote the science textbooks in school, surviving another one of Georgia's highly erratic and explosive electrical storms meant I was to quickly retreat into the house, which I did, and just in time too, given the downpour that followed. But the depths of me hadn't quite settled in, since who I was as a child who had to be brought in out of the rain while playing outdoors kindled. The same force that stimulated my communion with my magma tree became the natural torrent that lovingly coaxed me to begin walking back outside to rejoin my American Indian plant as it burned away all of the societal conditioning that I should fear the earth or the planet in this state. As I discerned I had no will of my own in this propitious form of death, still gripping my metal knife with a wooden handle, lightning flashes as nature's way of punctuating the scene with slight rumbles of thunder here and there, alerting all of my human senses as to what was happening. Then, as a supernatural baptism, there I am slowly strolling back to my magma tree, experiencing a dual consciousness. One as the human psyche accepting that this was the way I would end my life, whereas the part of me who knew these trees, the forest bed, and this benevolent force that's orchestrating my return as eternal life itself was opening up a gateway. 5 o'clock p.m. of a once very sunny day, which can now be mistaken for dusk, this force calibrates me to continue to chip away at the magma tree bark and gathering the ample amount my tea brewing would require for the next several days. And in doing so with my metal knife, with its wooden handle within the rain, it's merely bouncing off my body instead of soaking it, a lance as a prickly finger I sensed extending from the sky had tapped me on my shoulder blade. It took several seconds for my human faculties to register that this is lightning, and it had occurred with the assistance of the dimension of me roaming freely within the landscape of nature. It is an instance of soul arresting my human spirit to allow the surrender or the letting. The lightning feels like any highly skilled masseuse working their intention within the interior of my anatomy. However, I can't detect where lightning entered my surface. And though time appears to be a phantom in these parts, it only took a matter of seconds for lightning to restore my neurological system. Through it all, nature's discourse is that this is what's proper for the human who has returned home. The lightning then released its hold of me after my recharging, and eventually I understood it to also impart that I had the portions of bark that I needed. With lightning now included with the trees and the forest bed as the very old soil, forming my new earth that clearly stands as the wild, nature's torrent guides me back into the place that simply serves as the living range, allowing me to participate fully within the human race. No longer the domicile for feeling secure and being indoors, my mind and body instantly reassessed the natural function of the planet in providing that very thing protection in and of itself. And it would follow within my growth that my body was responding to what the entombed remains buried far beneath the surface of that very old soil were receiving. Since, unbeknownst to me, I had been inhaling, ingesting, respirating their fumes for nearly 20 years, dwelling on top of ancient Indian burial grounds. It would be my personal, real conclusive evidence that I am walking as my paternal great grandmother did as a land heir.